Singapore. Singapore, officially the Republic of Singapore, is a sovereign city-state and island country located in maritime Southeast Asia. Capital. Singapore is a city-state, i.e., it is a small independent country and made up of only one city. Therefore, Singapore City is the capital of Singapore. Area. Singapore has a total land area of 724.2 square kilometers, 279.6 square miles. The Singapore area comprises mainland and other islands. The mainland of Singapore measures 50 kilometers, 31 miles from east to west and 27 kilometers, 17 miles from north to south, with 193 kilometers, 120 miles of coastline. Land. Singapore consists of 63 islands, including the main island, Pulau Ujong. There are two man-made connections to Johor, Malaysia, the Woodlands First Link in the north and the Tuas Second Link in the west. Jurong Island, Pulau Tikong, Pulau Ubin and Sentosa are the largest of Singapore's smaller islands. The highest natural point is Bukit Timah Hill at 163.63 meters, 537 feet. Under British rule, Christmas Island and the Cocos Islands were part of Singapore, but were later transferred over to Australia in 1957. Pedra Branca, an outlying island which now belongs to Singapore after the dispute, is the nation's easternmost point. Ongoing land reclamation projects have increased Singapore's land area from 581.5 square kilometers, 224.5 square miles in the 1960s to 721.5 square kilometers, 278.6 square miles in 2018, an increase of some 23%, 130 square kilometers. The country is projected to grow to 766 square kilometers, 300 square miles by 2030. Some projects involve merging smaller islands through land reclamation to form larger, more functional islands, as has been done with Jurong Island. The type of sand used in reclamation is found in rivers and beaches, rather than deserts, and is in great demand worldwide. In 2010, Singapore imported almost 15 million tons of sand for its projects, the demand being such that Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam have all restricted or barred the export of sand to Singapore in recent years. As a result, in 2016 Singapore switched to using polders, a Netherlands solution, to reclamation, in which an area is enclosed and then pumped dry. Population. As of June 2019, Singapore's population stood at 5.70 million. A large percentage of its population are non-residents. Of its total population of 5.70 million in 2019, 4.03 million were residents, citizens and permanent residents, and 1.68 million non-residents after rounding. Government. The government of Singapore takes the form of a parliamentary representative democratic republic whereby the President of Singapore is the head of state, the Prime Minister of Singapore is the head of government, and of a multi-party system. Executive power is exercised by the Cabinet from the Parliament, and to a lesser extent, the President. Cabinet has the general direction and control of the government and is accountable to Parliament. There are three separate branches of government, the legislature, executive and judiciary, abiding by the Westminster system. Legislative power is vested in both the government and the Parliament of Singapore. The legislature is the parliament, which consists of the president as its head and a single chamber whose members are elected by popular vote. The role of the president as the head of state has been, historically, largely ceremonial, although the constitution was amended in 1991 to give the president some veto powers in a few key decisions such as the use of the national reserves and the appointment of key judiciary, civil service and Singapore Armed Forces posts. They also exercise powers over civil service appointments and national security matters. Administrative division. Established in 1997 by the PA Act, there were 9 districts formerly, governed by 9 different Community Development Councils (CDCs). In 2001, the 9 districts and CDCs were then reformed into 5, namely the Northeast CDC, Northwest CDC, Southeast CDC, Southwest CDC and Central Singapore CDC. Each district is then further divided into electoral constituencies and town councils. The council boundaries follow that of the existing political divisions, with each handling between 4 and 6 GRCs and SMCs and roughly dividing the country's population into equal parts. Each CDC is managed by a council, which in turn is headed by a mayor and has between 12 and 80 members. The members are appointed by the chairman or deputy chairman of the People's Association. Economy. The economy of Singapore is a highly developed free market economy. Singapore's economy has been ranked as the most open in the world, third least corrupt, most pro-business, with low tax rates, and has the third highest per capita GDP in the world in terms of purchasing power parity. Language. There are many languages in Singapore. The reason is that Singapore has a multi-ethnic society. The Singapore government recognizes 4 official languages: English, Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. Education. Education in Singapore is managed by the Ministry of Education (MO). Spending usually makes up about 20% of the annual national budget, which subsidizes state education and government-assisted private education for Singaporean citizens and funds the EduSave program. Non-citizens bear significantly higher costs of educating their children in Singapore government and government-aided schools. The education system in Singapore is consistently ranked as one of the highest in the world by the OECD. Teachers focus on making sure that each of their students thoroughly move through the syllabus before moving on. By doing this, teachers in Singapore teach a much more narrow but deeper type of instruction. The main language of instruction in Singapore is English, which was officially designated the first language within the local education system in 1987. In January 2020, Singapore students made up half of the perfect scorers in the IB examinations worldwide. Religion. Singapore is home to 10 religions, out of which Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam and Christianity are the primary religions, while Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Sikhism, Jainism and others form the minority cluster. The Lion City is the ultimate melting pot, with the locals celebrating all festivals pompously, irrespective of the religion they follow. It does not have a state-regulated religion which the citizens are supposed to follow. Singaporeans are free to decide and follow any religion they like. Unlike other countries, this stands absolutely true. The Singapore religion is technically a mix of several communities. Religious community population percentage: Buddhism 34%, Taoism 10%, Christianity 17%, Catholicism 7%, Protestantism and other non-Catholic 12%, not religious 19%, Islam 14%, Hinduism 5%, other religions 0.6%. Currency. The Singapore dollar is the official currency of Singapore. It is divided into 100 cents. It is normally abbreviated with the $, or $, to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. The Monetary Authority of Singapore issues the banknotes and coins of the Singapore dollar. National game. Football is undoubtedly the national sport. No other sport is as widely watched in Singapore as football. National animal. The lion or the Asiatic lion is the official national animal of Singapore. Panthera leo is the scientific name of lion. National flower. Vanda Miss Joaquim was selected as Singapore's national flower. National bird. Crimson sunbird is the national bird of Singapore. Climate of Singapore. Singapore is situated near the equator and has a typically tropical climate, with abundant rainfall, high and uniform temperatures, and high humidity all year round. Many of its climate variables, such as temperature and relative humidity, do not show large month-to-month variation. End.